Hello everyone, welcome back. In this session, we are going to see what is happening once I'm running this main class or what is happening once the container is started. So let me run this example one more time. Let me run this main method one more time and let me show you what output it is going to display. And then we'll see what is happening internally, what Spring is going to do internally. So here you can see what message is printing on the console and this from where this message is printing on the console and how it is printing. This part I discussed in the last session. If you have missed that class, you can go and check the video for the last session. You will get to know. Now, once the container is going to start on this line number 12, then the container will go and read the bin definition from this Java configuration file. Now, once the Spring will come to this page, they can see we have one bin definition and this bin definition for the class customer. Now the Spring is trying to register this class as a beans with the container, and trying to register this while trying to register this class as a bean class, they will assign some ID for this beans. Here you can see I'm not passing any ID. Okay, but let me show you one. Let me show you the last example which we had discussed in case of how to write the bin definition using the XML configuration. Here you can see I was writing, this was the bin definition for one of the bin, and this is the bin definition for the bike. And here you can see there's one ID associated with this bins. So once the Spring container was trying to register this class as a bin, they were trying to assign this ID, P as a ID for this bins. Same as you can see the other bin definition, here also we had one ID, and this ID was assigned for this bins inside the container. Now, in my case, in case of Java configuration, I'm not passing any ID for this bin definition. If I'm not passing any ID for this bin definition, then what ID will get associated with this bin definition or what ID will get associated with this bin class? So if you are not passing any ID, if you are not going to pass any ID for this bin definition, then what Spring will do? They will check what is your method name, and with the same method name, they will create one ID for this bin definition, and they will assign that ID for this bins. What I mean to say? So if you not pass any ID, okay, if here the passing the ID is the optional field. If I'm not passing any ID, then what Spring is going to check? They will check what is your method name and what is the method name here. So the method name here you can see this is the create customer. So with this create customer, they will create the ID and they will assign that ID for this customer bin. How I'm saying this? So let me show you that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here, I need the object of the customer bin. I need the object of the customer class. So how I can get the object for the customer class? For that, we have to call the getBin method. So how I can call the getBin method? Let me do that. So I will create the object for customer cust. Now I want to initialize this cust variable. I want to initialize this customer cust reference variable. So what I can do, I will call the getBin method, and the getBin method is going to return the return type for the getBin method is the object. So the return type of this getBin method is a object, and I need the object for the customer, and due to that reason I'm trying to do the typecasting here. Now here suppose I'm going to pass some ID. So here again you can see the last example which was based on the XML configuration. If I'll show you the lab1.java, if I need the reference of any object, then I have to pass the ID for that bins. Here this T was nothing but the T was the ID of the one of the bin definition or ID for one of the bins. How I'm saying? So let me go to the XML file, and here if you come to this, here if you come down, you can see this ID T. This T was the ID for the bin traveler, and somehow here I was passing this. I was trying to get the object for the traveler, or I was trying to get the object for the traveler bin. I was passing the ID for this traveler, and I was trying to get the object from the Spring container. Same here, you can check. This is the I need the object for the bus, or I need the object for the bus bin. What I'm doing here, I'm calling the get bin method while passing the ID for that bin. So here if we'll come again to this spring.xml, you can see that B2 is the ID for this bus bin. And somehow I was getting the object for this bus bin. Now here, if we'll come to my class, that is the lab2.java, here suppose I'm expecting I want the customer object, and for that customer object, since I am not passing any ID here, I'm provide some random value here. I'm going to provide some random ID for this customer and we'll see it is working or not. Now, if we run this program, we will get the runtime error on the line number 14. Let me run this example and let me show you that. Now you can see you are getting the expected output, and the output here it is showing no such bin definition exception. And what is the reason? They clearly mention no bin name B1 available. I mean to say, and yeah, one more thing, you can see it is showing the error because of the line number 14 itself. Now, what is happening on this line number 14? Let me tell you that. So once I need the object for the customer, I'm passing one ID to the getMain method. Now, once I'm passing this ID and once the container will come to this line, they will say that, hey, I can see you need the object for the customer bin and you are passing one ID. So let me go and check inside the container. Is there any bin running in the container with ID B1 or not? Now once the container will go, once the Spring will go and check inside the container, there is no bin running in the container with ID B1. Since there is no bin running in the container with ID B1, we are getting the exception saying that no such bin definition exception. And here they clearly mention no bin name B1 available. But you can say that, okay, this is the customer class and might be they have registered this bin with the ID customer. Let me pass that as well. So now if I'll pass the customer as well, and if we'll run this program again, you will get the same error. Let me run again and let me show you that. So you can see again, we are getting the same error and saying that no bin name customer available. Now the question is what ID they have assigned for this customer object or for this customer bin. So as I said, if you are not passing any name, if you are not passing any ID, if you are not providing any ID, then Spring container will take the method name and with this same method name, they will get the ID and they will assign that ID for this bins. So for this customer bin, they are going to provide, they are going to assign the ID. The ID name is nothing but create customer. Now what I can do here, we will come to the lab2.java and now I will pass this ID, the ID as create customer. Now once I will pass this ID, now the container, now the Spring will go inside the container and they will try to check is there any bin running in the container whose ID is create customer or not. Now they can find one beans who is running in the container whose ID is create customer, and since we have the bin, now we'll get the object for the customer beans. And now if I want to call the method which is available inside the customer, the method name inside the customer, that is the customer info, and this customer info is responsible to display the name and display the phone number. Now come to this lab2.java and try to run this example again. Now if you run, you will not get any runtime error, and even this method which I'm trying to call from here, it will get called successfully and it will print the message from this method. You can see the last two statement, customer name is Java, sorry, customer name is Rakesh and customer phone number, both are printing here. So now the question can come in our mind again. So do I have like always we have to take the method name as a ID value? I'm saying no, it is up to us. If you are not going to provide any ID from here, then you have to consider this method name as a ID. But if you want to provide some name or you want to provide some ID, then with that ID only this bin will get, that ID will get associated with this bin definition. I mean to say here we don't have any annotation or any parameter with an ID. We have here the concept of name. So I will use the add that bin and will write name and then I will provide some value. So suppose I'm going to provide the value as a C2. Okay. C2, or we can say suppose cust. Okay. So I'm going to provide this value. Now if you are providing this value, now what Spring will do, they can see, hey, you are providing one name for this bin definition. So let me register this bin with the ID cust only, not with create customer. And now if we'll try to run this example, now you will get the exception saying that with no such bin definition exception, create customer, no bin available. Let me run this example and let me show you that first. So see, now we are getting the exception. We are getting the exception saying that no bin name create customer available. And why I'm getting this exception? Because now I assign one ID for this bin definition, and the ID now which has got assigned for this bin, that is the cust only. Now what I will do, I will come to this customer, I will come to this lab2.java and I will pass the cust from here. Since this both are the same name and might be you can get confused, I'm going to change the name here. So I can say C2, okay, and then from here I can write C2 dot customer info. Now if you run this example, you will not get any exception. So let me write both line. Let me comment one line and let me comment this line so that in future if you want, you can use this same, you can use both way. So this is also fine. This will, this is correct if you don't, if you are not passing any customer, if you are not passing the bin name, then this is this will work fine. But if you are passing any bin name, then the line number 14 will not work and it will throw the exception. And in that case, line number 15 will work. Now make sure whatever the ID you are passing from here, that should be available on top of your method name, or it should be the value of the bin name. Then only it will work. If this name will be something else, and from here again you will pass some other value, in that case again it will not work and you will get the runtime exception. Now let me run this example again and let me show you this. Now you can see we are not getting any runtime error and my program is running fine and we are getting the expected output. So from here we understand two point. First point, if I'm not providing any ID for this bin definition, while registering while trying to register this bin, with the container, what they will do, they will take this method name and with same method name they will create one ID and they assign this ID for this bins, or they will assign this ID for this bin definition. The second way, if I am passing some name, then they will not consider this method name, and with this name only, this name they will get one ID, and that ID will get assigned for this customer bin. And whenever you need this object, whenever you need the object for the customer bin, we have to call the get bin method. Once we'll call the get bin method, the Spring will go and check the container. They will try to find out is there any Spring running in the container with that specific ID or not. If any bin is running in the container with that specific ID, you will get the object of that. If that bin is not running in the container with that specific ID, then in that case, you will get no such bin definition exception. So this is how we can inject the dependency based on the setter and constructor injection. And here, as of now, you can see this bin was dependent on the two primitive data type, or this is the like one, this customer was dependent on the two data member, one is the name and other is the phone number. But as of now, this class or this bin is not depend on any other bins. So what I will do in the next session, I will create one more class and I will make this bin dependent on other bins, and there I will show you how we can inject the dependency as well. So we'll see you in the next session and we'll discuss more on this topic only.